Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Heather and this is where we talk about all things books. Today I am going over everything that I read in the month of August. If you don't know already, if you haven't watched any of my August TBR videos, my month of August was pirate themed and I named it August. I had a lot of fun. And then some books I just didn't have a lot of fun with. We'll get to those in a minute. First, we're gonna go over the books that I did read. So this is the first book that I read, and it was probably my favorite of the entire month. So Tress of the Emerald Sea. I had so much fun following Tress on her adventure to save the love of her life from the sorceress. It was a lot of fun watching all of the ups and all of the downs, the failures, and the just everything that happened in this book was a whole lot of fun. I laughed in some parts. The narrator is just, it got me with some of the descriptions. I chuckled in several areas and I loved it. It did remind me so much of The Princess Bride, and I love The Princess Bride. I did not read that book this month. I chose instead to read Peter Pan, but we'll get to that in a minute. This one, I have to say, was my absolute favorite. I am definitely going to have to get this book and keep on hand because I would love to read this one with my children at some point. I laughed so much at this book, and I love good humor. I love good dry humor, and this, I just enjoyed this so much. One of my favorite books for this month. Definitely a good pirate theme. I would definitely suggest this one. The next book that I read was The Daughter of the Pirate King, and I also read the sequel, The Daughter of the Siren Queen. I wasn't a fan of these books. They were just okay. In fact, they actually kind of put me in a bit of a slump afterwards, and I just was disappointed that I wasted my time with them because it just didn't. The main character, Alosa, was very arrogant and very, I'm better than everybody else. I trained with the Pirate King. He taught me everything he knows. So therefore, I'm better than every single other pirate. But she constantly failed and never lived up to that reputation at all. And it was very, very annoying. Every time she was like, I'm better than you. And then she was outwitted at every turn. And she still was never humbled, I guess. It never made her grow. She didn't have any character growth really at all, which I think is why it bothers me so much. The character growth was very slim, and I don't know. This was not one of my favorite books. I probably won't read this one ever again. And same thing with the second book, Daughter of the Siren Queen. And this one, there was a lot of repetitiveness in it. In her inner monologue, she's constantly talking about being trained by the Pirate King and being his daughter and being the best pirate. Also having to find the map that she's supposed to be finding. That's not a spoiler. That's just, it's actually even in on the back or in the front cover. It's in the synopsis. So it just is constantly repeating that in her inner monologue in this book, and then the same thing in the second book. Her inner monologue is constantly repeated, just the same thing over and over and over again. So I feel like if they cut that out of this one and the second book and then smashed all the other pieces together, it would be one really great adventure. But it was kind of boring through some of the stuff, and I rolled my eyes in a lot of areas because the main character, I really just wanted to smack her upside the head because she was just so haughty and annoying and frustrating at that. I did enjoy Raiden, which was the love interest, the main male character in in the series. He was very interesting in the first book, but when you get to the second book, he's very much a shadow of himself. He's more of a background character. At that point, the chemistry kind of goes away in there, and it's just not there anymore, and it's forced for reasons that I can't say because that would be a spoiler. It just feels forced in those areas because of that. And then he also becomes a little wishy-washy because of things that happen, and I just wasn't overly thrilled with this book, and it put me in a slump. I was bummed because I wanted to like these books. I heard good things about them, and I was a little frustrated and wanted more. So there was that. And then I go to the next book, which is Peter Pan. I read Peter Pan. I listened to that one on audiobook through LibriVox because my library apps didn't have it at all. And I did not like the Audible version that was on there. I didn't really care for the narrator on there. So I went through LibriVox and listened to it on there. I enjoyed it. It was a very quick read. I got through it in like 2 days, maybe. It didn't take very long. It was very interesting. It definitely reminded me of the Disney version of it. Although I really feel like I have read Peter Pan before, because as I was going through it, I'm like, I remember this. Did I read this at some point? And so I may have read it. That may have been a reread for me. But I don't know. I could be just remembering the movies that are based off of Peter Pan. Of course, the Disney one, and then Hook, and then Finding Neverland. I think I may be remembering bits and pieces of those movies, maybe. But I don't know. I could really have already read it, and I just don't remember. Then I read Heart of the Sea, which I finished this one not too long ago. It actually took me a little bit longer. It took me a little bit longer to get through this one for a couple reasons. This one actually followed the same framework as Daughter of the Pirate King. The only difference is I liked the main character in this book. Nerissa was a very good main character. She had flaws. They were there. She was confident, but she wasn't overly confident. But she also, in her monologue and her voice, you saw that she actually was very scared and very afraid and wanted to save her sister. And I enjoyed this one more than I did Daughter of the Pirate King. And I will say, I did have a few issues with this book, such as the point of views flip-flopping back and forth between Nerissa and the main male lead, Cyrus. I feel like Cyrus didn't have enough of a distinct voice to differentiate between Nerissa and himself. I always, every single time, found myself, when it was his point of view, forgetting that I was actually reading in his point of view and having to go back and read it again, reminding myself that I was in Cyrus's point of view, not in Nerissa's. And so there was that. I also just really felt like Cyrus was lacking in this book, and as well as the romance. To me, there just wasn't any spark, and it was more of an insta-love almost, because for a few chapters they didn't like each other, and then all of a sudden Cyrus was like, she looks kind of good, I kind of like her. And to me, it was too fast, and there wasn't even any play. And oh my gosh, the winks in it, ugh. The winks are so cringy, and there were so many of them. It wasn't just like one here and one there. There were like 30 in the entire book. I didn't count them, but I'm pretty sure there's like 30 of them in there. I don't like the whole winking thing. It's not attractive. It's not, ugh. It's cringy, and I don't like the whole winking thing. Maybe it's just me, but I didn't really care for it. I did like the story. I enjoyed the relationship between Nerissa and her sister, and how it showed that sisters love each other, but they still fight, and they can still grow apart, and they can still love each other and still fight for each other, even though they have grown apart and fight all the time. I did enjoy that. I enjoyed most of this book. I just wish the romance could have developed better and slower, instead of it being, it's not there, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's there. And I wanted more out of Cyrus. I want more personality there, instead of it just being, he was very, what is the word I'm looking for? I can't even tell. Cyrus was very bland in his personality. I wanted more out of his personality. More personality for Cyrus, because he needed it. He needs more personality to so you can differentiate between his point of view and Nerissa's. Otherwise, I did enjoy this. I think this is her first book that she came out with, and it's not bad. I really liked it, and I'll probably continue reading her books, because if this is her start, the rest of them should be done very, very well as well. Okay, so this one I liked. I was a little disappointed in. May just be because I was in a little bit of a slump at that point. I still kind of am. I haven't really found much that I'm enjoying reading. Nothing that has drawn me in. So there's that one. Put it over here. And I'm currently reading Peter and the Starcatchers for this one, and then audiobook I'm reading The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi, because my library doesn't have any hard copies of that. It's not in any of my library apps either, so I had to use an Audible. Credit to get that one, and so I've been listening to it when I go do my workout or go for a walk or cook or clean or whatever else it is. I'm about, I think, halfway through. It's pretty good. I'm enjoying that one. I haven't gotten very far in Peter and the Starcatchers. I'm probably not going to continue reading it. I'm just not wanting to read it, honestly, at this point. I had a lot of hopes for August, and it started out really strong, and just kind of fell. And honestly, I'm ready to move on. I'm ready for different things. I will finish The Adventures of Amina, because it's on my audiobook and I can just listen to that when I do things and get through it. But I'm just gonna go ahead and return this one. And also, I will not be reading The Wager right now either. I am kind of in the slump, and at the moment I'm just not feeling it. I really wanted to read this one at the beginning of the month, along with Tress of the Emerald Sea and The Heart of the Sea. Those were the ones that I had picked out for my most anticipated. But this one came in so late in the month that I wasn't able to fit it in at that point, and I was already in a slump and not wanting. I got it and I was excited to read it, but I didn't want to read it. It's just not something that I want to read right now. I do eventually want to read it, and I will read it, but not now, not this month. I'm just going to put it aside for now, and hopefully I can pick it up and read it before I have to return it in a couple weeks. But we'll see. Depends on where exactly I am in my headspace. Then I also read the first 4 chapters of One Piece, and I had fun with those. I read them about the middle of the month, in between, I think, The Daughter of the Pirate King and the sequel. I think I read it then. And I was just waiting for books to come in from the library, and I finally got books in, so I put One Piece aside, and I should have just kept reading that one. It might have been a better outcome for me instead of me continuing on in this slump. Anyway, I will be continuing on with One Piece because I enjoy One Piece. I love the anime. It's one of my favorites, and I will be continuing on with the manga. I mean, I've caught up with the anime, so I need to read the manga to figure out what happens, right? No, I can't do that because my husband will get upset if I go any further beyond where we are in the anime and find out what happens. So I have to stop where we are. Anyway, that's all I have for August. That's everything that I read. That's how my August went. Hopefully yours went a lot better. I am disappointed in how it went, honestly. I expected most of the books that I had picked out to be really good books, and maybe I just read the wrong ones for me. Maybe. That is all that I have for the month of August. For September, I'm going to be shifting gears a little bit. I have that video up already. If you have not seen it, you can watch it. I will leave it on the screen. You can watch it there. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help me out, and I really do appreciate everybody who watches these videos. Leave a comment and let me know if you plan on reading any of these books, or if you have read any of them, and if you enjoyed them or not. I will see you all next time.